Hello and welcome back to the Cymru Cactuars. We have a Opus 22? 22? Is it Opus 22?
22.
Hidden Hope set review here, and I'm joined by Sam Jackson.
Hello there.
Anthony Fish.
Yo.
Jack Canavan.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Jacob Bond.
One and only.
We are going...
Jack Caravan, not Canavan, just like to point that out.
We're going to start off with fire, and we have Auron. He's a back attack backup, but I don't know. There's not really too much to say. I don't think it's not the most exciting card in the world.
I feel like it would have been better as a forward.
100%. It's like it's not a mostly contested name, but it's not like we've got like Guardian Search. I suppose there is Buddy to open up something for
Oh, so you can show your opponent that you have the back attack. Just come back to card in hand.
Yeah, definitely. Good point.
There is definitely scope for 2CP back attack backups anyway. I mean, regardless of the rest of the effect, going second and you see this and a 3CP backup in your hand, then, I think there's always scope for 2CP backups that have back attack for that reason. But I think with regards to his actual card text, I just think it'd be better suited on him being a forward.
Yeah.
It's got to go on a dual element deck, though, a multi-element deck, right? Because Fire's backup line is already pretty set. I don't think this replaces any of them.
Well, not too exciting. I prefer something a bit more searchable, but I don't think it's really the answer to any of Fire's big problems. But next up we have Red Mage, which I think is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I think these current block effects are always relatively I always think they're underutilized. I think they can be super impactful sometimes.
And to be fair, if you draw into a backup in the late to mid game or mid to late game, that sort of DL8K is pretty nice on a 2CP backup.
Yeah, crackables are always good, and 5CP and 5CP and less forwards. These sort of backups have always seen play before with like Yotsuyu and
Red Mage.
Red Mage, yeah. I like it. I can see it making space in decks. I don't know how much, but it's not bad at all.
I think my problem with it is that it reads like it wants to be an aggro card, but then the game's gotten to the point where if you're playing aggro, every single card you play has to do something, and you kind of want to curve out by playing this card. And by that point, if you just slow down the game on your own board too much, that suddenly aggro isn't as relevant.
Well, I think this is something that we've been talking really about for a while now, about how a lot of the sets seem more geared toward L3 or L6 or something like that, but it's just not supported. And really the set as a whole doesn't have a hell of a lot of a change on standard. Or, well, I mean, there is a new deck in here which will definitely see play, but I don't know. It's a lot of these cards are really interesting and really cool, but just don't seem designed for, or seem designed for a rotated format that we just don't have. So, yeah, I don't know. Not really too much to say on that, but every line of text on this is good. I suppose it's a little bit more searchable for a card that we'll get to much later on. But yeah, I don't know about this one. It's pretty good, but how do you make sure it happens?
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. We can move on with it. I don't think there's much more, like you said.
IMA, which is not a name which is contested in the Samurai deck for a new Samurai. It's pretty good. Brave 5k and win a job Samurai or card name Samurai other than IMA enters the field. She gains 4,000 power until the end of the turn. When she attacks, you deal 7k to something if she's got 9,000 power, which is pretty good.
Not too bad. Every single line of text is pretty decent.
Stuck wasting removal on that.
Well, that's the thing. Is super Brynhilde targetable, but they have to do it, and maybe that's not the best place that they could. It's just going to sit there and do what it does anyway.
The 4K stack as well. It's not just once. I think you could potentially make this massive if you play a bunch of Samurais, but the 7K as well. If you're playing the old Scion that is dealing damage per Samurai you've got as well. That 7k easily becomes a lot more and starts sniping some pretty big threats.
To be honest with you, I was thinking more the Crystal Cyan, which is very good at the moment anyway, and so that 7k, if that 7k kills something, great. If you need to deal, 9 or 10k to kill something, instead you can just pop a crystal and finish it off, just top up that damage,
She gains it off of backups as well, which is cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it says any.
Yeah, it's not bad. I'm not sure if this is the thing that's going to bring samurais back to the forefront, but it's definitely pretty good. But next up we have Angeal, which it's not bad. I didn't realize this was a backup actually. I had no idea this card was a backup.
Job Soldier is pretty nice as well because that's recurable and stuff, right?
So 3 CP, and if a Job Soldier forward enters, deals damage to forward, then increase the damage by 2,000 instead. And when he enters the field, you may pay X, and when you do so, search for one Job Soldier forward of cost X and play it onto the field. I had no idea this was a backup. And so
it kind of makes it awkward to play though, because
yeah.
it's 3 CP for a backup, so you have to already have one backup, and then you have to pay X on top of that. So the payment to actually play this card is really kind of awkward. I think the effect is fine, but
I think I'd love it if it could actually play a backups, like it would play the Cloud.
True.
What soldiers are you running with this? Because obviously there's Cloud and Sephiroth.
Well, the new limit break,
Zach
we'll should get to at some point for sure. But
that can't search and play it though.
But yeah,
No,
to get the search
exactly.
and play effect.
I don't know if you can do the search and play. It's probably that old Zach still 2k ping on entry for a 5 forward or a 7 forward.
4CP light Cloud, the one that lets you search for a Cat 7 character.
Or the Light Cloud that does 7k on entry if there's another Final Fantasy 7 forward.
There's targets for sure. It's not awful.
There's the new anniversary Zach as well, which means that it's going to be removal and deal 7k rather than 5.
Yeah. Is this maybe not like a Cloud Pod type of thing? Pay 2, pay 3.
Do you know,
or
that's not terrible
2?
actually.
Can't remember what cost is. 2, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good way.
I feel like we've talked our way in and out and back in on this card. So
one for Adam to test, I guess.
I would love to experiment with this thing. Yeah. Next up, we have Ignacio. When he enters the field, put the top 3 cards of your deck into the break zone. When you do so, choose up to 1 forward. If all the cards are the same of the fire element, deal at 9k. No, I don't think so.
Really good for L3.
I was thinking about this earlier in regards to the K decks I'm looking at. If it's not a bad other mill card to put in.
Yeah, but it could hit no cards though.
Yeah.
And you can't search it with lightning.
Yeah.
It's a rare. I think that's about as best I can say on it.
It's sort of in that same great fire tool for like a limited format or something like Balgarvan used to be and stuff, and sure, it's fine. Probably not though.
I just think it's really strange printing this card and then another card we're going to get onto shortly, which is just infinitely better. I just think they feel really similar. It just feels weird that they were both printed in the same set.
We have Garland. Not bad. Funnily enough, that Garland, despite the fact there's absolutely loads of them, not massively contested within Knights anyway. But 40p EX 8k is nothing to be sniffed at. And when he enters the field, you get 1 Knight back from your break zone. And when you play a different Knight other than him, you can deal something with 5k. I think it's pretty bloody good, to be honest.
Nice, yeah. You play this guy into getting back your freaking Beatrix back from your break zone,
Gawain.
Your Gawain, considering Knights are fire water, which doesn't have a whole lot of recursion anyway, is really nice to be able to get your key pieces back. And there's no limit on it's just a Knight. It doesn't have to be 4 or less or anything. It can be a backup as well. Just solid.
The 5k is not a once per turn as well.
Yeah.
I was going to ask. I never saw them in their heyday. How quickly could they chuck out a bunch of Knights onto the board?
Oh, well,
there's a lot of cheap ones in this set as well, which could really impact Knights. So, I think this is just definitely better than the Legend one now as well, because the Legend feels a bit slow.
It's a shame because that Legend Garland, the one where like the S effect, the opponent sacks a forward and breaks a backup, whatever. Break a forward, they sack a backup. I really like that card. It's one of my favorite cards. I think it's such a huge payoff because you get the draw as well whenever a backup is put into the break zone. Love the card, but I think this card just kind of tops it in what you want it to do in a deck.
Also, having to look at it from the thing that Beatrix is going to make this 2CP. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's also searchable because it's a DFF as well, which is different.
So
Furious is strong with this as well because helps deal with those big like 10k threats like a Warrior of Light or something on your opponent's side of the board.
well, especially as well if you're going to play the Water Legend Gorilla in this and hit 2 knights while he's on the field, so it's always going to deal like 10k to something. It's pretty massive.
15k because the colour itself.
Oh yeah, didn't even think about it. Yeah. Get your foils.
And it's
I think.
split.
I would be interested to see a knight list, to be fair. I think that'd be what I aim to play.
This is enough, I think, to make it worthwhile. Something that I think we'll definitely be playing with.
It's funny because the Gorilla was like nice, but I think when it came out, everyone was like, this isn't going to bring knights back. Like, it's good, but it's not good enough. And then this came out, and people kind of was like, and this would have been a tipping point over Gorilla, but having both in this set is going to be great.
Next up, we have Carla, who is pretty contested, to be honest, within Fire decks. But it's a common. It has 2 action abilities, which you're never going to be able to use outside of like limited. So nothing to say really here. It's a Gito. It's very searchable, but I think you can do better. Nothing to add, anybody?
Absolutely not.
You still keep the backup.
Next up is Clavat, which is I think we'll probably talk about all of these here, because there's one of these in every element, and they all do the same thing. And they're all Crystal Chronicles, which means they're searchable from like Norstalin or something like that. But the effect, is it good enough?
It doesn't replace the old... the previous 1CP backups, because they let you draw a card if you see them in the late game. Scry as an idea is okay, I guess, but meh.
Well, I think you guys are missing the real best thing about these backups is that it gives more targets for Sid 3.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely mad.
Sid 2.
Oh, Sid 2, sorry. My apologies. Yeah.
I think I like that they're trying to do stuff with these 1CP backups. I think Fish is right there. I think these ones aren't as good as those previous ones we had. But I do like the fact they're trying to experiment with kind of 1CP backups, because I think there's always scope for have some quite powerful cards there for curve.
Which I think is really good for, again, things like rotated formats, which is just not supporting. Again, it's fine. This is an absolutely fine card, but not with the speed of the game at the moment. It's nice that Norstan's got targets in every element like this, but I don't know. I think you can absolutely do better.
But then again, the other ones are all like you say that. I know it costs 5 CP, but you've got Star Sybil, which would search for the other ones as well because they were Cat 11. So they kind of do the same thing, but the other one just does it better.
I think great sealed card with a lot of forwards that will come onto that want you to have standard unit backups. So I think great for that side of things. But I think that's probably everything to say about these.
Next up is our spoiler, Jacked.
Good.
He's pretty good. We were pretty thrilled to have this one, really. There's definitely a few different decks that you can go into. Obviously, the first one you look at is Mono Fire because he can be 0 CP. 0 CP with a massive guy with a massive cost, which can kill a guy, is pretty bloody good. But I think if you're playing like a Fire Water Guardians deck or a Fire Wind Guardians deck, paying 3 for this guy is still fine.
I would even argue paying 4 would still feel fine. 4 CP, 9k, and likely kill something.
It's unlikely that he'll ever cost 6. Put it that way.
Yeah, if you're running him, you should never cost.
I feel like there's a running theme with this set for me. There's a lot of cards in a lot of different elements that really feel like they should be Earth cards. Now, I know obviously that first line of text is quite a fire thing. There's quite a few things, but like the fact that it has like an inbuilt Tonkia into it. I don't know. It just feels like this set is there's some cards that I feel like should have been in Earth. I haven't been in Earth, and Earth is kind of just not got a whole lot of interesting stuff this set. That's my only caveat with it, but I think the actual card itself is pretty good. There's no fault.
Do you know that is a really good point, because I feel like if this was an Earth card, you'd absolutely see play. But like, I think this will see play in Mono Fire. But how many do you run? What do you do? You know, Mono Fire is not great for searching as it is. So like, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to see on this one.
It can cause 0 as well. I think that's very important to say.
Next up, we have the first big damage on Jack's bank account. We have Selfie. Selfie is really good, and I think that even though she's been like the searching backup, this is just, you know, a searching forward is just as good, I think. So 4 CP 7k legend, and she searches for 1 category 8 forward when she enters, and for 0 CPs you can choose 1 category 8 forward other than Selfie and give it 1k haste and brave. Crazy.
I think the important question here is, Jack, have you prepared a therapist for your wallet?
No, it will be fine. I've got it's all planned out.
Sure you do.
I'm going to harvest his organs and sell them on the black market for him. We've got a deal.
Yes.
To be fair, you can't really talk either, Jack. I'm pretty sure this is also going to be an expensive set for you.
I mean, is it going to be as bad as when the 6 full lots come out? So, you know, Jacko's had his time.
Yeah. I think I'm happy to pass the 8 ones on to Jack on this one. But with regard to this card, I think got some really strong targets for this haste and brave. I think the fact that it's haste and brave is just super good for cards like Griever from the last set.
Yeah.
It means it gives you scope that you can, you know, use that Griever. You're not having to run Rug, so it gives you scope to run the old light squall if you want to. But I think there's also a new squall which you'd maybe want to run as well. But it gives you scope to run kind of either of those 2 options.
Well, with the new squall, I think that this, if that is a mono ice or ice lightning deck, I think this is still a 3 of in it regardless because of squall.
I agree with you there, but that's my issue with it, is it's fire, so it can very much be.
But you can run Sidflamer still.
Yeah, but he's still not searchable.
Doesn't need to be because Squall plays it though. That's the thing. It's just in case. Oh, you can potentially play it if you haven't got the Squall. But yeah.
My question is that as you were saying with this card basically ignoring Rug, is fire ice as well. Fire ice 8 is probably going to be a thing just on its, and obviously there's a lot of emphasis on the lightning cards this set, but being able to just play Selfie straight into play Griever and then be able to swing and get a discard at the same time,
or kill
on turn 1 before your opponent can do anything, like, you know.
They're getting so close to making that Opus 18 Zell hit 10k, but he's still just off. They always push him to like 8 or 9. You're like, I just need 1 more.
Do you know, actually though, like the monster breaking Zell is pretty good with this as well, from bringing him up from a 4k to a 5k. I know he'll already have haste, but it is a pretty big deal still.
I think it's irrelevant though.
Next up, we have Warrior, which is common. It doesn't have any text. Let's move on.
Yeah. Next.
What's the next?
I am waiting to see these in limited or in pre-release because of the effect.
My only problem with him is that he's dual wielding axes, which is a thing that Beastmasters usually do.
Oh, that's it. Shred it. Send it back. Next we have Foulander, which I don't know if there's too much to say about this one as well. There's a whole cycle of monsters in this one, and this one, it's okay. It's not great. It's a common for definite.
They're just too limited, being that they specify. They don't get to choose when they come forward. They specify when they become forward, and it's only half the time. So yeah, for that reason alone, I'm not sure they.
None of these monsters can block, so.
Yeah.
What have we got next?
I think they have to cost 1 CP because of that, but yeah.
Next up is a fairly exciting card. We have Machina. There's never been a good Machina. So
and there still isn't.
No, this backup is fantastic. This will absolutely see play.
I mean, it will, because it's a non-contested name, but it's
there is the one where you remove cards from breaks and overrides, it sacks itself and does 10k on attack, which did see some play for a little bit, but yeah, I can't disagree. this card it goes in a different deck anyway, so I don't think the name clash is relevant here.
It's dead cheap. You play it turn one. The 7k is relevant for the cost and everything. I think it's pretty good.
Zero slowly getting more and more things over the last 2 sets.
Yeah, it finally has a new size in this set. So finally getting around to the names of cards that aren't ace, but he's in here too.
Yeah,
but the problem is though again is that they still don't have a color fix and backup, and you're spread across 3 elements.
No, it's fire lightning now.
Yeah, I agree.
I will agree because Gareth's list is really cool, but I think some of the big names need to come from wind first. Like you're still missing a decent rem because the rem is like your backup server pretty much. So,
yeah, maybe, but it's nice to see that Machina can actually fit in the deck now. So, what have we got after this? We have Belias the Gygus. Wow. I don't really know what you can say about this one. It's pretty good all round. So it's similar to the Opus 10 Ifrit, I suppose, in that you can choose one forward you control and one forward your opponent controls, and yours gains 3k in first strike, and they take 7,000 damage. And like this whole cycle of summons in this set, if you pay with just backups, you draw a card as well.
And it's a combat trick, it's a cantrip, and it's a removal spell, all in one neat little package. Like I quite like it.
And I still don't know if it's good enough to actually see play.
No, like combat tricks these days are so like almost unnecessary. Like combat doesn't decide the game as much as it used to.
Actually, when I saw this card, I didn't really think of maybe the odd Ifrit. I kind of compared this to the old 5 CP Titan that you used to buff something and then make two things. Right?
Yeah.
It's like a 2-for-1 type thing, right? Like the whole point is you kill something for 7k and then you first strike something that's being blocked, and then you end up killing two of your opponent's forwards. So you're swapping an EX burst for something slightly cheaper than camera funded, which I think definitely does make it good. I can see it seeing play. I don't think it's like busted, but it will definitely be 2-for-1ing a lot of the times, and you'll feel pretty good about it.
Do you think it's ever going to draw a card?
I don't think it needs to. I think all these ones, actually, just regardless, because every element got a summon that has that last line of text to draw a card. I actually don't think any of them need to draw the card for them to still feel good.
I think the ice one
what I like about this is if you do have 3 fire backups up, your opponent has to guess if you're holding an Amaterasu or this in your hand. So
or neither.
Yeah, so you're kind of giving them a 50-50, which could win you games.
And I know we haven't gotten round to Earth stuff yet, but I still think this is better than that, like the Earth version.
I can't remember what the Earth one is.
It's the wind the Earth one for some reason.
It's a carbuncle, and it's forgettable, as proven by everyone in this chat.
Oh yeah.
It becomes dull, doesn't get broken.
Can be broken.
It's basically Titan of old, just
well, it's basically old carbuncle, isn't it? From Opus 2. Either way, we're still in fire, and we're going to talk about Meath, who is a strange card. I don't really know how to feel about it.
I think it's good, man. I think it's really good.
It's
still searchable.
Yeah, and Fire kind of always wanted a bit of extra draw, right? So
at the cost of a backup, though, because it means that your backup count has to be a little bit higher. I don't know. Maybe if you remove something like Miyu, so that you can play another Miyu, it can be pretty good. But I don't know.
Time will tell on this one, I think.
Yeah, somebody will have to bust it open. But yeah, drawing 2 is good. Removing, something is fine. It's the cost is weird because costing 2 means it's usually 2 CP backup being a turn 1 play. Yeah, it's okay.
I think it had to say remove from game, but otherwise it would have been the most busted thing known to man.
Yeah.
Because in stuff like fire, wind, like as well with Stalin being able to search this, you can then clear it out if you need to do it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with the speed of the game, there's easier ways though. But We'll have to see. I'm not sure on this one, but then I've never been sure on any card called Meath, and people still use them. So, next up is Mimwu FFBE, which is crazy good.
Phenomenal card.
She says choose one card in your break zone during this turn. You can cast it anytime you can normally cast it, as long as you have no cards in hand, which means that you're limited really by maybe having something at 5 CP max. And you can also, as an action ability, tap her and discard 3 cards and deal 10,000 damage to all the forward your opponent controls, which is crazy.
That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, this will see play. 100%.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that all forward opponent control. I thought it was just a forward, but I think even then it would have been good. But
yeah,
I think it's a crazy good sealed card as well.
Yeah.
And the fact you can discard those 3 cards and then potentially play one of those discarded cards is also really nice. It's just...
I think so. That's obviously. I think the best thing about this card is nowhere does it specify fire in any of its text. It doesn't say choose one fire card in your break zone. It doesn't say discard 3 fire cards. The only obvious downside is that the cards you do cast in your break zone will at maximum cost 5 because it's reliant on how many backups you control. And that's literally it. That's not really that much of a downside. Just being able to have your entire break zone at hand, ready to go, as a second hand is absurd.
I think one thing that makes it in fire really good is that you can save early discards of goblins, so that you can always get them back and start going again.
Yeah, the fact it's any card is really good. I think something in fire that kind of works against it though is that obviously it's quite flimsy to Mist Dragon, and fire doesn't necessarily have that much outside of sort of general Leo, have that much protection from things like that. But I still think that's not enough to not play this card. It's still
definitely
good.
Hell, just chuck Mist Dragon into your fire decks, cast it from break zone.
The problem with Mist Dragon is it's a really weird card at the moment because it comes in and out of meta like a flick of a switch, right? Because I haven't seen Mist Dragon that much at all at the moment.
No.
But obviously last set 3 in every deck you can put it in, so it's. And I think it's going to be like that for another while until there's a better one printed. But so it depends if Mist Dragon's going to see play, which it may or may
and there's
not.
a deck in this set now that makes it completely useless.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have to see. I think it will definitely. This is something absolutely to play with, though. Next up, we have Lilith, which is maybe something for Glacier the Crystal Box, but a 2 CP 5k that gains a crystal is pretty good regardless. And especially if, you've got an easy 7k just for crystal or S. It's not bad. I think it feels like it's a few sets too late, but, it's all right.
7k is a nice number for it as well, because you're paying just a crystal. The amount you can gain, you could just be firing off 7k like it's no man's business. So
sorry, she's a knight.
Yeah,
it is indeed a knight.
Right.
So
I guess you could probably fit Glaciella into a knight deck as well now.
That changes things entirely. Actually, I think this card's really good. Especially if Garland's going to say that she's going to deal 5k as well, and that Glaciella's there, you can pretty much kill anything. That's really good. I like this card.
Is there anything existing in knight decks that uses crystals? Or were they a bit before that?
Way before that, Opus 12 and 14 was the last
stuff.
time we really saw knights. There are some knights that use crystals actually with the fire Ramza and Deleta. So,
and there was the ice ones, right? The I can't. The 2 CP one gains crystals.
Well,
I don't think it uses them though, right?
That's the backup. Yeah.
Well, but there's also Agrias. She gains crystals when she attacks.
Oh, that's true.
That's the one.
So, wow, that was a roller coaster for me there. I'm definitely not staring at the middle of my screen. Next card is Loartha, who is a dual gunner. Yes, she is. And 1 CP
mass
3k.
destruction.
Guns.
When she attacks, deals something 5k. For a crystal, she gains haste. And On damage 3, when she enters, she deals something 5k. I have no idea how to rate a card like this. This would be where we'd need someone like James Kiddie to really say if it's good or not. But
I think it's a better allure for sure. But I don't. It feels like it's maybe a couple sets too late. I don't know.
Yeah, quite possibly.
The thing is, even if it gets to attack, you're not going to block it because it's going to deal 5. Likelihood of it taking something out at 5k damage is probably not quite high, and using it damage 3 is late.
But if this
in
is
the
a
game,
crystal deck, like we said earlier, with like the Cyan Legend, that's going to be 1 crystal to deal 8k. Because obviously the crystal on Cyan deals 3. So.
I guess.
It's definitely looking like at some point, maybe not this set, but at some point in the future, we may well see a mono fire crystal deck. And when we do, this will probably see play as the last card will as well.
Yeah.
Whether that's this set, I probably don't know. But the way these cards are coming, and especially with that Cyan Legend from last set, I definitely could see one day we'll see a deck like that.
And that's it for fire. So let's move straight into ice. We have Ice Bomb. He sucks.
Yeah, cool. Next one.
love the art, but yeah.
It needed to say Dull and Freeze, really, for it to see anything else. But from the criminally boring to the really interesting, we have Valiade, who, 2 CP 5k, not bad, regular stat line. And for 1, you can choose 1 forward, and it gains when this forward is dealt damage, break this forward.
Again, going back to what I was saying earlier, this feels like an Earth card. Considering we already have this effect on the Hades monster when it attacks. Does anyone read that text and think, oh yeah, that's ice?
Just because Hades has that one card doesn't make it own this effect.
Tell me this reads like an ice card.
This reads more like a lightning card. You got that old Orlando that, if something had been dealt damage, it gets broken. That's
I would agree this is a lightning card.
Yeah.
The thing is, what do you pair this with? Because it's
Cactuar.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about this card, right, is that I think it's a really good card, but it's not a good card necessarily in ice. It's like it needs to be paired with another element. I think it's great that ice has got this like hard break effect. I think there's a lot of scope for this to pair with various different things. I think Wind Cactuar is obviously a really good example. You could probably make a room for it somewhere in fire, maybe. Like an ice fire deck. It's an interesting card because it's an ice card that needs to be paired with other elements.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really good.
I think Wind is the best post for it because Wind has enough, because it is quite flimsy as a 2 CP 5k. So Wind has enough protection stuff with like Ishtolas and things like that. I think it's quite cool that if you wanted to, I don't know if it would be very good, but if you wanted to, you could technically run like a mono ice list that goes like Amina into the 2 CP ice Moogle that taps for Wind and then play Cactuars. But I think that's a bit of a meme, to be fair.
Speaking of which, Amina. It finally happened, everybody. It finally happened.
I did not need this card.
I have a fanfare prepared when this card came out, but I didn't.
But for everyone watching the video, if you listen real carefully, you can audibly hear Sam Jackson's erection.
Bleeding nose. Yeah.
It's great. There's loads of targets for it.
It's the one card that Ice always needed and never had. It's sort of crazy.
It searches Biblos, which is great. It's
just the word character alone on that is just massive.
So again, that would be like Unalesca. Do you know the best thing, the most fair thing about this card is that it can't play. What's the ice backup from last set that has to be played turn 1?
Lufinian.
Yeah, it can't play that, which is fine. But it's 2 or less as well, so you can even get 1 CP cards. Yeah.
Kate
Stuff like
Sith though
Lightning
as well.
Auras
Like
and Senna and things like that. Yeah.
Kate Sith is a great choice to get on this as well. Yeah, this is. So this would be with this Jacko probably be the one you choose as your Worlds promo.
I think Jacko's literally lost too much blood.
Yeah, I'd say call the doctor, but that'd probably be him. Moving on, we will get to the next drain on Jack's bank account, Questis.
It's a rare, at least.
When she enters the field, she's up to the same number of characters as category 8 forwards you control. Dull them, and if you've got 3/8 forwards, freeze them.
Sounds real easy to pull off.
Yeah,
I
completely.
don't know why it says characters, because you're basically only running forwards anyway.
No, your forwards.
Your forwards, their
yeah,
characters.
I'm thinking of the other one. Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I think it's just depending on how wide you want to go with the deck.
Is it better than the other Quistis? Though?
Yes.
I was about to ask the exact same thing.
100%. This is the one you play.
It's play it off of Squall, and you get it in the combat phase, so that you just don't have blockers, and that you guys just rush straight in.
You can give enough haste out as well that you don't necessarily need the freeze.
I suppose, to be honest, it's worth skipping a little bit ahead, and because of this, talking about Squall. So we'll do Squall a little bit early here. He's insane, and it's something that Category 8 has always needed and never had. You weren't even sure this was going to come in a full art, and yes, it is definitely a full art, and this one, I don't know if it will be, but it should be a very expensive one. If you control 4 more Category 8 characters, Squall gains 2,000 power, and if he is dealt damage by your opponent's abilities, the damage becomes 0 instead. And at the beginning of the attack phase, during each of your turns, play 1 Category 8 forward of cost 4 or less from your hand onto the field. Jesus Christ.
And breathe.
It plays basically all the cards you want, with the exception of one.
Oh,
Which is
what, like Idea or Ultimecia? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we covered the big selfie earlier, which is
well,
huge
yeah, having this
right?
play Selfie, which gets you another card. There's so much value in with this. If this was called Cloud, like that would be, insane.
Busted.
But there's so many good targets that you can play off of this and get so much value. You're either going to probably draw a card, search a card, or break something for whatever he's going to do, or dull and freeze the board with something like Questis. So,
even if you've got one that doesn't synergize with the rest of them, just like Irvine coming in off of it is still, it's just cheaper. It's just cheap ways to play the cards.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's nutty. I think this would definitely be one that. Get your full arts if you can find them cheap, because it's going to be crazy. And I think this is the deck, and this is what makes it all work. And we'll see play. Yeah,
I think it definitely helps protect against Amaterasu as well.
Yes, to a degree, because it does take summon damage.
Yeah,
but it'll survive it at least.
It'll survive it. That's the whole point. It's an 8K that have auto-builds like that. These things are always super susceptible, but it will, if you can get to 4 per 8 characters, if you've got some on your backline, this will survive the Amaterasu.
Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to add to this?
It will be after 3 of them.
Well, I'm bound to pull the full at. I always pull the full at you after, so.
Next up we have Bard. Probably not out of 10.
Yeah, bad.
I can hear the image, but that's about it.
Yeah, let's not spend too much time on this one then. So move straight across to the other legend, Karasame, who is a Nagito cadet in this one. So it's earlier in his life. Oh, it's from the book. This is the box topper as well, full art, isn't it? So
it is. Yes.
When it was spoiled, we said there's absolutely no way that Ice can really do anything with this because it can't really go long. And now with cards like Emina, we know that it absolutely can go into a long game. So, Jacko, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this card is obviously very strong. I think the thing that limits it is how it's not necessarily how good this card will be, it's how good the rest of the mono ice package will be. Because this card alone obviously is strong, and if you can, I think if you can get to 5 backups, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely busted. But I think that could be a bit of a pipe dream in mono ice. But I think even at 3 or 4 backups, it's really really good. And I definitely think you could potentially see a return of Renoa as well, because it's obviously a strong entry effect. But the cherry on top really is the S effect. Being able to choose on forward and deal at 9k.
Not one dull forward.
Yeah, exactly. Super relevant. Doesn't need to be dull. There's lots of great targets in this set alone. If you can snipe off a squall that we just saw before it gets to 4 characters, before it can get its attack triggers. I think the Nacht Earth Legend later, being able to snipe it before it gets to play those characters as such, I think it's just really nice. So yeah, I think that's probably the cherry on top really that makes this card really good.
Does it go in over what Ice is playing at the moment, though? Because it's very much an aggro deck at the moment.
I think it's a different type of ice deck.
Definitely a different type of deck, yeah. And I think that it'd be nice if you had 5 backups, but I think 3 is definitely going to do the job.
But I think what it means is that Ice can afford to, historically, Ice couldn't afford to let up, and it had to discard early because people are discarding themselves to set up their board. Whereas late game, if someone's at 5 backups and they've got 5 cards in hand, it's so hard to get people down to 0 cards in hand from that position to do all the ice effects. And this card just does that in a nutshell. So yeah, I think it just gives a bit of late game to ice discard that I think it doesn't really have at present. So
yeah. Next up we have Cloud of Darkness, a reason to put your opponent down to 2 or less cards in hand. I think as a common, it's incredibly good. So in commons format or in Pauper or in Sealed or anything like that, I think this card is exceptional. Probably not good enough for Standard though.
I actually think this card would be better in Standard if it said something like dull or active, because it means you can be a bit more targeted with what you're killing.
Yeah. Much worse than that still would be this Seymour, which is just crazy for the cost and everything, and I don't even know if in your draft or sealed deck that this is a card that you would pick.
The biggest problem with this card is that they had so much potential printing an Ice Seymour to basically give Rydia an extra target in Ice Earth, outside of Unalesca if you've already seen Unalesca before the Rydia. And this just is not it.
Why the hell does it cost 6?
I was about to ask the same thing.
It has react first, that's why.
Yeah, this wouldn't have killed anyone at 4 or 5 though. Still,
but for 7 you can play Scylla and make them discard, and even that card never saw play. So
yeah. We have Shiva, which is really interesting for an ice card. So 3 CP and all the characters your opponent controls lose all their abilities till the end of the turn, and if it was paid for with ice backups, draw 1 card.
Feels like a water card, but
No
I think it's really good. Because you're just not answering that, right? For the most part.
I think
it's cancel it.
I think my feeling on this card is question of whether it's good now. I almost feel like this may even be a bit like Mist Dragon, in that when Mist Dragon came out, it didn't really see loads of play at that time. It wasn't until kind of later down the line that people realised how strong it was, because it got stronger as decks got more interaction with their break zone. I feel like this is the kind of card that, may not be good now, but there will be some point in the game when this card is really good. And the biggest shame, I think, with this card is that it's the death of those heavy light or dark decks. Like I always thought they were quite cool decks that were playing like multiple dark characters, and you had chaos to keep them all on the field. Granted, they haven't seen much play recently. This card is just the death of those cards.
Oh my god, characters! No, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I genuinely think this card though really hurts. Is great for when you're against a wind ice sort of storm deck, because your opponent never gets the attack phase and gets to do their Sid Dull Freezes, they don't get to, do a lot of stuff they probably want to do to get their cast count high enough.
Yeah,
Exactly.
even if it's just turning off Rosa. Rosa are bad enough, like getting the reactivation. And how many times have we been stung by like someone flipping the exact card they need on the cast 5 trigger for Rosa? So yeah,
Exactly what as well. This actually helps out a huge amount with is against mono Earth monsters. Just being able to turn off all your opponent's zombies and actually be able to play the game for one turn could actually be really, really nice. Especially as also, if they're trying to do it for game as well, you can do it in their turn. When the card got first revealed, I was kind of a bit iffy about it, but I definitely think there is a place for it. Even though it feels very much like a sideboard card, but
I guess the only thing holding this back really is ice isn't that heavily of a multi-element card. It goes in lightning and wind.
I don't know. I think
it needs to be multi-element though, right?
Yeah, you really want this to be mono so you can pay for it with backups and draw a card. But
well, you could still do that as long as you just got one ice backup, right?
It doesn't specify ice backups.
Yeah.
It doesn't specify what backups.
Oh no, right you are.
Yeah, they all just say backups.
Yeah. I think it's really good it's definitely good now, really good in the future, and there will be some point in the game where this would be busted.
I think I really like it. I think it's going to be really strong.
Oh, it's stunning as well. The full
all those ice characters that say get you a summon now have a target.
Next up there is Cisne, which is this really could have had any other name. We have the Cisne backup, which was our spoiler for Opus 20, and it basically makes Turks work, Ice Lightning work, and it's super strong. And this is a haste forward which enters dull and only activates when a member of the Turks attacks. But if it does, it can attack twice.
It's a lot of hoops to jump through, right?
Does that keep re-triggering?
No.
She'll every time you attack with a new one, she'll
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah. That part does, yeah. The best thing I can think of is that you can play the lightning rude to make sure that she has brave, but it can attack multiple times, but it's only got 6k, so is that really enough? I don't know. This is not a card that I think is
She doesn't need brave though, right? She only enters the field though. She still reactivates at the start of your turn.
Well, yeah, but she's got haste, so you want her to.
If she's on the field when you've got the other Turks out, which is what you're aiming to do anyway,
yeah,
you're either getting board wiped or you're winning the game off of that.
Yeah, I just wonder with this card. I think you're right. I think the backup is probably still better in Ice Lightning just for the color fixing that you get with that. I do wonder with this card if one day we'll see a mono ice list that has all the members of the Turk, has a bunch of members of Turks. We've already got 3 now. Obviously, Cisne already existed in Ice, but
Sam and Elena would be the others. Oh, and potentially Vincent.
Yeah. But you just need a Song and Elena, and then actually then Rufus becomes even more busted. And actually, I wonder if one day again, looking into the future, whether we'll have that as a list, and with this we'll see play there.
So you think this is a low key get your full arts and foils then?
Yeah, I think it's a gimmick now, but I think there is potential one day this could be really good. But yeah, I don't think it's now.
Well, you turn me around on it. Can you turn me around on Jill Nabat?
No.
Where are all the targets?
Two good targets this set. 2 good backup targets this set. I think she's the fact that she can search herself actually is good. It just means I feel like she's missing an S effect for that really though. Okay in ice water to search a Yargrosh for certain matchups. I think busted in title where you can play loads and you can play the Jill Nabat that makes some discard per Psycom that you have as well as this one. But I'm not too sold on this.
Nice full art, I guess.
Yeah.
A worthless one though.
Cymru Celestia, which is also called Celestia in all situations, and for just dulling it, you can choose one forward. It gains 4,000 power until the end of the turn, but you can only use it if you've got 5 or more ice backups. It is super searchable now, but I don't know if it's quite good enough.
It feels like an Earth card, like an Earth.
All right,
crappy Earth
Jacob.
monster. It does, though.
I
really
mean, that's just because I'm right, that's what I'm saying.
You're so rarely going to hit the 5 backups, I think.
Look, me and Jacob don't agree on a lot of things, but
Apparently not.
If you're going for the 5 ice backup line, I still think Kefka's just better than this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a no for me.
Potentially not a no, though, would be Sephiroth. So, another job soldier, actually, as well. So, when he enters, your opponent discards 1 card. That's great. That's cool. But for Ice and 2, you can remove Sephiroth in your hand from the game and choose 1 dull forward, break it. And until the end of your turn, you can cast Sephiroth removed by this ability's cost. And you can use it if it's in your hand. So one thing I sort of overlooked on this is that you can cast him until the end of your turn, which means you can do the dull and break effect in their turn.
Yeah, that's what makes this so good. I mean, it was. I think even outside of that, it was already good. But yeah, you can basically do it on their turn, and then you break whatever attacker they just attacked with, and then on your turn, then cast it. Yeah,
It was probably very weirdly costed, but now that you've brought that up, I kind of understand now. Yeah,
you pay for him twice.
Because I think paying 6 CP. I mean, the other line of that is by doing those things, you're paying 6 CP to get a 7k, which is breaking a dull forward and making them discard, which you're paying 6 CP for Seymour to make them just break the forwards.
But he has the X.
But yeah, it's just so much more versatile than that. He doesn't necessarily need to be a mono ice card because it's just 1 ice CP and 2 color, any other CP. I can't tell you how happy I was when Alec replied to my message and said, yes, this is a normal full art as well as a signature.
I'm gutted because I was going to fleece you for every penny you had.
You
You
do
got
it
one
anyway.
both, right?
Oh, God.
Am I right in thinking though with this card, like, especially, I guess this is probably a question to you, Paul, like with an FF7 deck, especially with like a heavy earth part to it, do you just play this in there as well because you have things like Tyro and all that?
You could do, yeah. I don't think there's. It depends. Like, I don't know if you definitely play like in a dual element deck, regardless. But if it was just like a splash and other things, it's worth trying, I guess. But it is another slot without any. If it had an EX burst, I'd say yes. But I don't know otherwise.
Yeah, I think you can make an argument for the dual color Sephiroth in Ice Lightning, but I think in any other deck, I think this is the best copy of Sephiroth you're going to have access to.
100%. Next up, we have Jacob's spoiler, Time Mage.
Mine and Jenny's, thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I know. She's not here. I'm just talking for you. You know, it doesn't matter.
The couple spoiler.
It's pretty good.
Mine now, the two of you.
It's fine. Yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Really, I
think the ceiling, obviously, I think the ceiling is high for it. The question is, how often do you ever get the 2 job standing unit backups? But like, if you do get that, paying 2 CP to dull and freeze 2 things and get a body is actually mad value. And I definitely think there's a Kurosami deck where you're trying to curve to 5 as quickly as possible. So you might probably play 3 Armorer, 3 Black Mage. So that's 6 potential.
Probably because that's also.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Lufenian's a standard unit as well. Yeah,
potentially, but I think Lufenian I don't necessarily fits in that deck so well because your new turn 1 backup is Amino, it's not Lufenian. But yeah, Lufenian is also a standard unit. So yeah, there is definitely times where you'll be paying 2 for this and you'll be dealing and facing 2 forwards and getting a body. And when you are, that is, in my opinion, that's such a high, disgusting ceiling that I think it's definitely worth at least playing 1 or 2 copies in that deck.
Disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good. I like it. I have no idea what to think about Medusa. I love the artwork, but it's pretty cool. I think this is a solid reason to like another solid reason to play Renoa again, because getting this repeatable on things is pretty solid. But Yeah, so when Medusa enters, you place 1 petrification counter on one of your opponent's forwards, and that petrification counter says that forward cannot attack or block unless they pay 5 to get rid of it, which is that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think it's super thematic. I really like the petrification counter and the ability that it puts on it. I think that's super thematic for the card and for the character. I never played 3, but for Medusa, it sort of fits. But the thing I do like about this card is that it's a little bit of a meta call and gives Ice a bit of extra string to its bow, because I think Ice is starting to move back towards being a more dull freeze element rather than discard element. And if people start playing things that can't become dull or frozen, you now have an answer. Like characters that can't become dull, you now have an answer to those cards in Medusa.
I also like it as a counter to kind of like these multi-element decks as well, because like, great, you've got a big Warrior of Light. Well, now it can't do anything basically, and you can't play another one.
Yeah, it's a shame that when you pay 5, you do remove all petrification counters. I would have loved to have seen like a gimmicky thing where you can like use the cards that we've had printed that like increase the number of counters on a card, like put a petrification counter and then increase them, and then it means like they can't everybody pay that 5 because they have to pay 5 and they have to pay 10. So the fact that you remove all petrification counters is a little bit annoying, but outside of that, I think it's all right.
I don't think it would have killed them to put that as just 1.
Am I right in thinking as well, like if Medusa leaves the field, the forward still has the must pay 5 effect?
It's on the counter.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so like if a Medusa re-enters, then it won't be able to attack or block, but it's not like the counter itself is stopping the attack or block.
No, it is. If Medusa dies and the counter's still on the card still can't attack or block.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, wait.
Because otherwise it'd be crap.
Yeah. No, if Medusa dies, the effect stays.
That's good. I quite like this then. I think this could be really fun to play around with.
Next up we have the 1 CP, which again I just still don't think this is... It's nice that you can use something like Emina to search it in Ice, but you could probably search for anything else still.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much said everything about these, right?
Yeah. Next up is the final Ice card for now, which is Renoa, which is unfortunately called Renoa. All the text on this card is pretty great. So if you control Squall, like if you had the Squall backup as well, cost required to play Renoa is reduced by 1 to 2. And for dulling her and breaking her, you can get your opponent to discard 2 cards in your turn. It's pretty good, but is it enough to really make the cut over the Searcher Renoa, which probably has to be the one now? I don't know.
So I can tell you what I think about this card. I don't think this is better than either the Search Renoa or the 4CP Renoa, but I'm going to fix this card for you right now, and that is this card should be card name Angelo and reduced by 1 if you control Renoa.
Yes.
100%.
And then that's it. And then that's card fixed, and then it sees play. But I just don't think it sees play now.
I think every Renoa option almost is better than this in going into that deck.
Fair enough.
If you want it just for the discard, I think it's fine. But if you put it in a Cat 8 deck, it's not this one.
Yeah. Well, that's it for Ice. That's it for Fire. We will be back shortly with Wind and Earth. So thanks very much.